2019. Before we get into our agenda items, we have our Employee of the Month recognition by our mayor at this time.
If you would join me down front, and we need to be very careful not to step on the tile for fear we might crack or break something, so we need to be careful. Just let everybody get into place. All right. Jeff Kazay has been named the City of Muskogee Employee of the Month for April 2019. Jeff currently works in Pollution Control Division as a chemist. He enjoys the people that he works with, and he says that his job is enjoyable because of the science that is required in water analysis. In his spare time, Jeff likes to hunt, fish, cook on the grill, and spend time with his 3 children and his wife, who are here this evening. Jeff's children are 4, 8, and 12. The oldest plays soccer, and he enjoys watching him play. Prior to working for the city, Jeff worked at Whitlock Packaging and did their wastewater operations for 10 years. Jeff was nominated for a number of reasons, one of those being that he worked 7 days a week for quite a time due to a manpower shortage. This for sure shows his willingness to go above and beyond his normal job expectations. Thank you for the hard work that you have put in at the city, and congratulations on being the super employee of the month of April. And we want your family to come up here and join you at some point. We have a certificate to present to you and a handshake that we will do, but we need to do that after. And then once you go around and let everybody shake your hand, let me hold that while you're doing this. Okay. The handshaking, then we'll give you the microphone to say whatever you want to say. All right. You all are welcome to stay right here and be with him. Jeff, again, thank you. You may want to introduce the children and your wife as well.
Okay. I planned on doing that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not good at public speaking, so bear with me. But behind a good man, there's always a good wife. So if I don't mention her right off the bat, I'm going to get in trouble. So this is my wife, Julian. This is Prudencio, Octavian, and Heaven. And I want to thank the city for everything they've done for me. The opportunity bringing me here to work in 2014. Shortly after that, I got the chemist position. Shortly after that, we had a family tragedy. We buried their mother, and me and the wife inherited 3 kids overnight. And then I just want to say thank you to the city for all the support they gave me during that time, bared with me. And then after that, my wife is off and on sick. She's a cancer survivor, but she's still sick and ill. And I just want to say thank you to the city for bearing with me, being supportive for me, giving me the opportunity to work for the city. And I'm so proud to work for the city of Muskogee.
There it goes.
Patrick Salt.
That's the one we wanted, bro.
That's the date.
They're okay. I'm half rattled, but they're okay.
Those there were samples.
All right, now we'll get into the agenda for April 1st, 2019. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of March 18, 2019.
On reviewing of the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passed. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments, March 14, 2019 through March 27, 2019.
Do we have a report from the purchasing committee?
Purchasing committee did meet this afternoon. I would recommend approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passed. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of lowest and best bid from Winning Hill Disposal Services, Inc. in the amount of $2.75 per square foot for the demolition of dilapidated structures project under the Community Development Block Grant Demolition and Clearance Projects Bid Group Number 40, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Callahan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee members, we did receive just the one bid from Whitting Hill Disposal Services Incorporated for $2.75 a square foot. We sent out 28 notices to local contractors. We did publish it twice in the local newspaper as required, and we also had it available for download on the city's website under the purchasing department. We received several inquiries about the bid. We had some that picked up the bid packet. I'm not sure how many may have downloaded it, but we did just receive the one bid from Whitting Hill, and their bid amount at $275 is consistent with the past bids that we have received from them on the past projects. It's actually lower than one of the most recent bids at $2.85 a square foot. So staff does recommend approval, and they have been past projects that they have done. We've been very pleased with their work, so we consider it to be one of the best bids, even though it's the only bid.
Move for approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve this item. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3 passed. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of the lowest and best bid from TTA Construction for Civitan Park improvements for the amount of $414,566.74, with $45,501 in alternates, with the alternates approved, subject to funding being identified within 90 days of the notice to proceed being issued, or take other necessary action.
Ms. Wilkerson?
Mr. Chairman and committee members, this is a long-awaited project that we've been hoping to get done at Civitan Park. It's being funded by a match grant from the City of Muskogee Foundation and the State Department of Tourism and Recreation with some funding called Land and Water Conservation Fund. So our total budget for the project is $475,000 and $214. So we've spent a portion of that for design services, surveying and testing. So what we have currently, including contingency, is enough money to enter into this contract with the base bid of $414,000. There's approximately $25,000 in contingency funds there, so hopefully if we do not have changeovers or something that we have to spend additional money for unexpectedly, then we can apply that contingency money towards as many of the alternates that we have that we show here. I'm also asking the city manager to see if we can't find additional funds to so that we can complete all of the project. But if not, we can get the bulk of the project done with this initial award, and hopefully add to it with these alternates as we go. Happy to answer any other questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this item. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Wilkerson. It's TNT A Construction.
Yes, sir.
Have we used them before?
We have not in the Parks Department. My understanding, they are a contractor out of Vian and in that Vian area. But I think that they've checked out with projects in similar size and scope.
Have you looked at their work?
I have not.
Do you have anybody that can look at their work?
Sure, I'm sure we could.
The reason I was suggesting this, because, like I said, one thing I do know is about parks, splash pads, and stuff like that. Because we started on Robinson Park, and you know how that went. Because a lot of these companies, they bid, but you get these contractors, subcontractors that don't know what they're doing and have to do the work. That's why I was wondering if y'all, because, on all the rest of the parks that we've done the splash pads, we've had that company out of Arkansas, which done a great job on all of them. But I think, we should look into this and look at these people's work, make sure they do. I hate to see, I know Silverton has a good organization out there. And Mr. Miller, we was talking about it one time when we doing these projects, to get somebody in there, like Billy or someone, our facilities manager, to be every step of the way is to be filming and looking at this work that's being done in every phase. It helps. That's just my 2 cents on it, because like I said, we want some good quality work and we want it done right. We don't want to do like some of the stuff that was done at Robinson Park, for sure.
I think Mr. Van's got a good point. Do we have a mechanism when folks put in bids for projects like this to ask them for past work and references?
We do, and actually the architects in this that we've hired for this project already have worked with this group before.
Okay.
And gave them a solid recommendation.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, that they've done similar park projects, similar scope and nature, and have done well. So that was part of our due diligence before we awarded or decided to bring it forward for you to consider awarding. Was that to make sure we felt like they had a good track record of doing these jobs.
That's reassuring to hear. So essentially the architect took those opportunities to do due diligence instead of...
Well, and my understanding is they've worked with them on projects and they were pleased with how
things turned
they were
out.
implemented, yes.
The architects, the design team also oversees the constructions of the project as we go. So they enforce, the work and the details with the project as it goes forward. They've also the contractor was part of the pre-bid meetings and was informed of the expectations for the work. So, I think they've met the qualifications for submitting the bid, and to not award them now would be delaying our project. We really need to get it going, but I feel pretty comfortable with them.
Okay.
There's a significant price difference, and we were disappointed. We only had 2 bidders at the pre-award meeting. I think we had 5 companies represent, but for whatever reason, only 2 of them submitted a bid. But this one's within our budget. The other one was way out of our budget, so we feel good with the price that we're getting.
Do you have any suspicions that the economy getting a little better as people are busy out there on other work? And
yeah,
I've had those
because
suspicions.
For, contractors for municipal work, this is a pretty small project, but so that may have been a lack of interest because of the size.
Thank you.
You saying the architect would go out and look at the projects?
Yes, sir.
Well, I know on Robinson Park, I never did hardly ever see an architect go out and look at the project, and I was out there and I got every detail of that park filmed. I even gave the Ruby family pictures and film of that park being built when it first was built. And but we do have somebody in place now, Mr. Miller, to look at the work that each section these people complete.
We're going to be out there to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for, yes, sir.
That's all I want is to get, get what we're paying for and get quality work. We don't have to go back and redo, the city don't have to go back and redo it again ourselves, which is wrong. Because a lot of things is around here we do have to redo. For not having people in place that know what they're doing. So I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Well, Mark, I'd just like to say that I was on the Parks Board, and I know y'all worked very hard at getting bids and talking to people and looking things over. And I understand Councilman Van's deal about due diligence and have we done our due diligence and checking out everything, but there's still a point in time that we got to trust our employees to do the right thing, and I have full faith and confidence in you to do the right thing, and I appreciate what you do for the parks.
And Mr. Van forgot to say there's a lot of things we do right, too.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. No, I'm not. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash Mr. Wilkerson or anybody. I'm just the contractors that we that these contractors hire, the subcontractors, that's what we have a problem with, Mr. Councilman Hall. Because like I say, trust me, I go on these jobs and I've looked at this stuff.
Well, and I don't want to get into an
Firsthand.
argument with you about it, but I was sitting over here listening to you, and it sounded like you were giving him ultimatum, and I kind of got on my wrong side. I appreciate your input, and I appreciate your diligence in making sure things are done right, but he's still an employee for the city, and I appreciate it that he does his job well.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you.
And please, Mr. Wilkerson, don't take that the wrong way.
That's okay, I appreciate it.
All right, we have a motion and a second in place. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4 passed, and with that passing, that is the final item on our Finance Committee meeting for today.
Now we'll go to Public Works Committee meeting of April the 1st, 2019. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of March 18, 2019.
Everybody's had time to review.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2.
Hold a public hearing and take action on resolution number 2752, designating an area as part of the Founder's Place Historic District, or take other necessary action.
We will now open a public hearing on item number 2. Ms. Callahan.
Yes, thank you, Chair, members of the committee. This is a request from the existing Founders Historic District, Founders Place Historic District. They've requested to expand their district. It is quite an undertaking because they're taking on approximately 88 additional property owners, not necessarily all buildings. A good sign is that there aren't any here that I can see that have questions about the expansion. I've had some phone calls. The main question is, what are the pros, what are the cons? And I think in some identifying, they're afraid that they'll have restrictions on their property, and the only restrictions are that the exterior designs, if there's any architectural rendering or changes to the exterior, that does have to come before the Historic Preservation Commission. The pro is that it is a benefit to the residents of property owners to be in the historic district in that their properties are protected. If there are any design changes or anything new that's built, the design does come before the commission, and that way it keeps the historical integrity of the neighborhood intact. So not having seen any public, I'd recommend approval to the expansion, and we do have a second public hearing for Monday night so that there can be another opportunity if there's any questions from the residents that are being added to the district.
We will now close the public hearing for item number 2. Are there any questions from the committee?
Ms. Callahan, were notices sent to those additional properties?
Oh, yes, to the 88, I sent out 88 notices, because I did get a listing of all the property owners, even if there isn't a structure there, even the vacant lot. And it was published in the paper for the public hearings. We did have one that we did an informational meeting, just if they felt comfortable to come to our Historic Preservation Commission meeting. We did have one resident that came in and kind of his block his block representative and asked some questions and took that information back to his neighbors. And other than that, we just have had a few phone calls that people have asked about it. Actually, they really thought they were already a part of the district, and they had been requested to be added back in 1995, I believe, and it just never went anywhere. But they include them in their meetings and their newsletters, any of their activities that they have in that district. So it's just kind of really a formal inclusion now. So.
We may not have this information tonight, but maybe by the time we meet again on next week, I'd like to get a sense of what percentages of what would the impact be once we approve this in terms of economic impact if a resident wanted to have a home redone, or because I want to be certain that even though we're trying to improve our neighborhoods, we do it in a way that's affordable to everyone that's going to be impacted.
Right, and that's what the commission looks at. You can't ask someone to, put in certain windows or to change their roof type, the materials that they used when, it's so astronomical, it's not going to be benefit the even the house. It's, you know, it's just trying to maintain the historical look. It would be like if they were gonna add a front porch, or if they were gonna take off a front porch, or add on a side building. Nothing in the back is usually monitored. So it's things like that that they look at, just to keep the historical integrity intact rather than deterring from it.
Okay, thank you.
So how would this affect it if they decide to build a new house there? Like if there was 2 vacant lots and they need to put a house there, would they have to kind of go inside the historical? Look.
We've had that already inside the Founders Historic District. The Housing Authority had a housing project, the Neighborhood Stabilization Program funds, and they went in on 14th Street and built a house, and kind of came with a design to make it look more like a bungalow craftsman. I mean, there was a giant 2-story there before, and they couldn't go back with that, but it did complement the neighborhood. You can drive through and not tell really that, besides the fact that it's a new house and new materials other than the other historic homes, but it did complement the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I had a couple of calls myself. The mailings out, they did, bring up a lot of questions, but once you answered them, it was pretty easy to understand that it was probably more pros than there was cons to it. So I think it's another thing where they're reaching out and really starting to take steps at trying to make the neighborhood and community better.
And Councilor Coleman, I would add one thing. If anyone feels aggrieved by a decision of the historic preservation, such as an application to modify or to get a building permit, all of those are appealed directly to the City Council.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's nothing else, roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3.
Consider approval of restructured member terms of the Muskogee Medical Center Authority Board of Trustees in accordance with the attached list as approved by the Muskogee Medical Center Authority, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, as you all know, the Muskogee Medical Center Authority is a public trust of the city, and as a result, the City Council appoints all of the terms of the members. There is a 7-member term, and when the trust was originally laid out, like many of our boards and commissions and other public trusts, the idea was that the membership would be staggered so that not all terms expired at the same time, maintaining some level of cohesiveness with the information and strategic, and but historic knowledge and those types of things. However, over the last year or so, we've had a number of appointments that have been put into place, and so we've kind of gotten away from the staggered terms. And because of the importance of what the Muskogee Medical Center Authority does, in that maintaining the lease on not only the property that St. Francis currently occupies, but 6 or 7 other properties that are within the community and one outside of the community. The board wanted to take action to restructure the terms that were in place so that they would fall into a more staggered line. So if you look on page 12 of the agenda packet, what we have listed is a list of all the sitting members of the board when they were appointed, with their current expiration term and with the proposed term expiration. And so some of these individuals have a shorter term, some longer, but this was brought before the authority for them to look at as well last Tuesday at their regularly scheduled meeting, and they did approve it unanimously. So this is now being brought forth, since you all are the appointing body, to take action on their request to modify these staggered terms. Mr. Blair, Jim Blair, who is the Executive Director of the Muskogee Medical Center Authority, is here should there be any other questions. But if not, I bring this for you for bring this in front of you for action.
I move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions from committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
I've received no requests from citizens to address the committee, so that will conclude our Public Works Committee meeting this evening. Thank you very much.